kind of a contentious issue within magic and the magical community in general. Well, it should be, and it kind of used to be, but it kind of goes through phases, and it depends on whether men or women are doing it, which Kate, has this sort of depends on which is an antagonistic aspect to it. But basically, it involves things like, can you make someone love you or have sex with you through magic, and what can you do with sex magic? Okay, first of all, you'll see a lot of things on female witch sites, Wiccan sites, and things like that, and they'll say there'll be lots of things, what or New Age as well, how to use love spells to pick up someone or to get your lover to love you or to find some guy you have a crush on in the office to love you. Now, excuse me, it's all seen as very cutesy and harmless, but there is an ethical aspect to it as well, because basically, if you put a love or a sex spell on a specific person, and they end up loving you or having sex with you, you kind of put your own will upon them. Now, if they enjoyed it and it was nice and it worked out and fell in love with you and it was a happy relationship in that sense. Now, I'm not talking about blood magic where the woman makes the guy eat blood and or menstrual blood. I'm talking about just basically expels and magical invocations and sigils to do it. And okay, so it depends really on the end result. So it could work out. I don't think there's anything ethically wrong with it. I've never done it myself because I've never really had any problem meeting women. So I've never had that. Generally, I'm kind of common sense. I will basically, like, I know I'll never get a supermodel or some gorgeous like film star, but I know if I see when someone was in my peer level and I found her attractive, I would try to woo her, or not woo her, but try to impress her with my personality, my sense of humor and stuff like that. That's probably a kind of magic as well when you think about it. And it's all ultimately a form of courtship rituals and so on and things like that. And so I've mixed feelings about it. Now, if it depends on what the motivating factor is. If a woman is really in love with the fella, it's probably not a bad thing. There's probably no harm in doing it. If she just wants to shag him or something like that, well, maybe there is. And the same with a fella doing that as well. Maybe there is. Now, sex magic. Sex magic is a big deal. It's the New Ages are all into it. They're all getting spiritually destroyed because of it. Because you have to be very careful who you have sex with. Extremely fucking careful. It's better to be celibate than to, take a chance. Every time. It's better to be celibate than take that, especially for women, because when a man has sex with a woman, the millions of nerve endings in his penis, especially if he's not been circumcised, puts a vast energetic field into the female, and it's there till the day she dies, and it's in her DNA and actually changes her epigenetic structure of her brain. This is why you're there forever. You're there forever if you have, or he's there forever if you're a woman that has sex with him. Where men, it's different because he's not taking that in. It's more likely an emotional loss. Now, one of the things I've done, which is kind of sex magic, is if there was a woman I knew or worked with, I would incorporate a sexual invocation or spell into a piece of artwork, into something, not to get her, but to, what's the word? Play upon her attractiveness. Like if there's a woman who's very, very attractive, very appealing to men, I would do a kind of a coupling with her attractiveness, her sexual or beauty charisma, and use that to charge a sigil for something else. So therefore, it'd be a very similar thing to if you wanted to have sell a magazine, and on the cover you put a picture of a beautiful actress. Although the magazine is not about the actress, her beauty on the cover of the magazine is what makes people buy it. Same thing with films. They may put an actress in a film who's not a very good actress, but she's very beautiful, and therefore her beauty and her essence is charging the film, charging the magazine, charging the advertising campaign. That's okay, because she's not being exploited by it. If anything, she's being helped by it because you're actually helping her charisma. And if you if I wouldn't have sex with her, wouldn't want that, but I would want to tap into that appeal, and that's perfectly fine. That's a kind of form of goddess worship. Totally ethical, totally fine. You're not. She's not seeing the thing. You're not showing it to her. You're not. It's just purely a tapping into that charismatic energy that you bring into yourself as you're in performing this, embarking upon this working and this operation. It's perfectly. It's like a sponge saying, she has the beauty, she has the appeal, she has the sexual power. I am now invoking that into this creative element in order to charge the desired outcome I'm coming from. So you're using her almost like a jumpstart cable. Beauty on it. She's never affected by it. She has nothing to do with it. It doesn't affect her life in any way. But you're contemplating her attractiveness to others. Even if you don't find her attractive, you're contemplating her attractiveness to others. Powerful, powerful stuff, and quite an ethical way of doing it. And it's not harming her in any way. You're not going to be fucking her or anything like that. You didn't use it for any reason. You just tapped into that power force. That's all. The power force of her attractiveness. And it's the same reason why women want to have sex with famous people or mysterious guys. It's the same reason they're drawn to mysterious men or interesting men. They not necessarily to have sex with them or even have a relationship with them, but to be in their circle, to be in their to get a bit of that because they're using that for themselves without a magical target or process the final outcome in Seoul. Now there's other parts of that as well in terms of sex magic is that you can one thing you shouldn't like when what's the word, every man has a sexual life, and guys, do not lie about this. Every man has two versions of a sexual life, and I don't know about women because I've never been a woman, but when he's having sex with a woman, now and again he'll be thinking about a famous TV star, a film actress or something. Well, guess where that energy goes? That goes to the actress, to the film star, to the other woman that he fancies, that he has a secret attraction to. Boom, 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 boom. Very important, and it's very powerful. So that's when they're not joking when they say people like Bridget Bardot were goddesses. They absolutely were, because so many men were like whacking off, having sex with their wives and their girlfriends. And said, "Whoa, I wish it was." I'm imagining it was British Bridget Bardot. They are literally goddesses, literally goddesses, absolutely. And it doesn't mean the man doesn't fancy his woman. He doesn't love her or anything like that. It's in his mind. And any fellow who says he doesn't do this or has never done that is a fucking liar. Absolutely. And any woman who says my fellow did that to me, I'd fucking leave him. Well, sweetheart, cupcake. That's how it is. That's just how it is. And I'm sure. I guess there's lots of women. In fact, there must be, because you have women saying, "Can you dress up like this guy tonight? You can act like this guy." And then she wants to shag him. So yeah, it goes both ways. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's a form of sorcery. That's the most amazing thing of all. It's a form of sorcery. It's really intense when you think about these things beyond the basics. And the sexual energy is an enormous energy. It's so, it wouldn't be as powerful as something like, killing, a sacrificial killing, or birthing. That's a very powerful one. It wouldn't even be as powerful as a woman's menstrual cycle. A woman's menstrual cycle is unbelievably powerful. That's why these women who feed their menstrual blood to men, it's just so blood, that kind of blood magic, this, wine of Venus. It's so unbelievably unethical. It's because the man's soul is trapped. And that's what, and I've actually see go to these witches forums online, and they say things like, "Oh, I got this guy I had the hots for, and I made him eat, I secretly snuck my menstrual blood into him, and now I can't get rid of him." That's you can't get rid of him because he's trying to literally get back into your body, because the menstrual, the way I was talking earlier about the man's sperm ending up eternally in the brain of the woman with never leaves. Well, when wine of Venus, now I'm not talking about going down on a woman accidentally ingesting menstrual blood. I'm talking about clandestine blood fed on the sly. He's not aware of this is sexual or menstrual process involved, and he is literally it's the blood takes over, his epigenetics takes control of him, and he literally wants to return the blood. He is now her blood, blood of her blood, and he's desperate to get back inside her body because that's where his blood belongs. This is why you see magic and science is epigenetics. It's not as much as woo as people think it is. There's something else about this let's talk about. Uh, yeah, it all depends on the end process. Whether is it ethical or unethical if he or she falls in love with you or you have a fuck. I don't know. Circumstances are different, personalities are different. I'm not going to judge people on their private lives. Uh, Using a person's sexuality, your own sexuality, to charge something, fine, no problem. And like a lot of sigils are charged by fellas whacking off and in porn films, watching porn. Actually, that's much more healthier. If you have a sigil that's want to get a career advancement or want something better in your life, it's much healthier to put your focus into that than into the digital djinn that's behind the other side of the X hamster, whatever the porn side is. It's very interesting. Everything is deeper than you think it is. So yeah, that's the way to go about it. It's and then there's regular sex magic where at the point of two people having sex, they create what's called a magical child. This is the kind of the magical child. The child is born at the moment, and the magical child is the desire, the ensual of both parties. And I don't know about gay men and lesbians. I really I wish I wish I knew more about it. I just don't know, but I'm sure it works a similar way. In fact, it must work because it must actually kind of way work better because there's no danger of conception or something like that. And so if the man and the woman both have the same desire to create a magical child, that at that moment, that can be very powerful, but only if both of them agree on it beforehand, both of them believe in it beforehand, and it's done with that intention. If the guy is doing it without telling her, she could have a baby that's fucked up, and if she gets pregnant, so you have to be very careful, and also it can go completely wrong. I was talking to someone who online recently, and he said that years and years ago was having sex with his girlfriend, and he put out he created this thing in his brain, like I think he had very basic understanding of sex magic, that he was going to be a millionaire as he ejaculated, as he orgasmed. His life fell apart after, so he lost all his money, he lost his job, he lost his company, he lost everything. It just went wrong. It just went completely wrong. It was because she didn't know about it. She didn't know about it. And the funny thing is, the next person that she was with, she married a multimillionaire. The gods move in mysterious ways. They really do. So, yeah, these are, there could be, there's not enough proper books written on things like sex magic and love spells and this kind of thing. There's not enough because it's so far ranging. It covers things like science, physiology, psychology, neurochemistry, interpersonal relationships. It's not just a case of like, under the full moon, I shall invoke his love into, it doesn't work that well. It does work though, some of them do work, especially if you put elements of torture into them. So you could do something like tie a rope behind your back with a weight on it, like a sort of like a self. No, don't do this unassisted, or make sure there's a well, if no one around, there's no safe word. But literally, the best thing for bringing spells and bringing magical workings into manifestation is annihilation gnosis. You've heard me talk about that. Now I'm not. This is coming with a big disclaimer and a big proviso: pain and suffering. Because what it does is it clears out everything else in your conscious mind and focuses you entirely on one thing. It's almost like when a plane is going down, they say there are no such thing as atheists. Everyone's going, oh my God. Well, if you can transfer that, oh my God. This is why I use aircrafts taking, this is another video I'll tell you about sometimes. I use aircrafts to actually charge sizzles. I'm not kidding, while I'm in them. Uh, uh, oh my God. And you say that, my desire is, you'll get it because it's the pain, that's tremendous energy. And so that's it, the sex magic thing. Yeah, it's all the new agey dingbats are doing it. I don't have a problem with that. I think it's a great thing. It works. It should only be. That's why Crowley did it with prostitutes when he wasn't doing it with his scarlet women or his high priestesses, because he the prostitutes he reckoned would be dead of syphilis or anywhere in a few years. So they would, it's kind of sad, but like that's the nature of the world he lived in, and yeah, it's a. This is why these sultans and these palaces had 10, 20 in Portugal or Spain or in the Middle East during the Moors had 20,000 concubines. That was all sex magic, even though they claimed to be Muslims and it was Islamic. It was all sex magic, all of it. It was all for that purpose. They were all supplicants. So, yeah, that's it. So, interesting subject, ethical, only if you basically fuck them and discard them. Uh, Otherwise, use a person's sexual attractiveness, their beauty, their charisma to charge on like a horse, to charge a sigil, to charge a talisman. That's it basically. And if you're a couple and you're doing sex magic, make sure you both have exactly and sat down and totally decided on what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, and what the outcome is. And make sure have a don't just do it while you're drunk or something like that or stoned. Have an intelligent, mature conversation about it. Simple as that. Okay, take care of yourselves. Bye.